Welcome to a little impromptu video on a Friday morning because I would really like to share two things with you. First of all, I purchased some new Fude Japanese handmade brushes from Beautylish. Two are from Sonia G and one is from Koyodo. And Lisa Eldridge has gone and announced her holiday collection and caused an absolute explosion in the makeup community, so I wanted to talk about that and the products that I'm planning on purchasing. I'm just going to do this chatty get ready with me style, so I'm going to start applying my eyeshadow primer here. So first things first, I had my cast removed yesterday. We went to the hospital, and then that's really funny because I actually mentioned it in my previous video that I had an appointment, and that it was very strange that when I spoke to the doctor the previous time, he mentioned that I would still be in a cast for 3 weeks, but then they made an appointment for 2 weeks later. And I wasn't quite sure whether, they miscommunicated or I misunderstood. And, because I wanted to get the cast off ASAP, I was like, maybe I misunderstood. So then I went to the hospital, they took off the cast, and then the doctor came and he was like, so you're here a week too early. And I was like, well, you guys made the appointment. I just showed up. And then, as a true martyr, I did offer to get a cast for another week, but he said that that won't really be necessary, and that if we keep with my regimen as, set out before, which would be for me to get like really sturdy hiking, walking kind of shoes, then they should basically do the same that the cast would, which is keep everything in place for another few weeks. And I was going to switch to that anyway next week, so he said it wouldn't be necessary, and he sent me home. And after that we immediately went to the city, because guess how many pairs of hiking boots your girl here owns or has ever owned? Zero. Big fat zero. I've never owned walking shoes because I'm not an outdoorsy person, you guys. I don't go hiking, I don't go mountaineering, I don't go camping. In all fairness, when I lived back in Bulgaria, there is a beautiful mountain right next to the city where I grew up, and I would go like mountain hiking much more often. So maybe at the time I did have something resembling hiking shoes, I don't know. But I haven't really done any of that in the past 16 and a half years, ever since I've lived here, because for one, they don't have mountains here, and two, I'm more of a city girl, if I'll be honest with you. I'd rather go, coffee and shopping in the city center, and that's my kind of mountaineering, than, go to a forest and walk. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's really lovely, and the few times that I've actually gone like walking through a forest in the past 16 years, it's been quite enjoyable. But because I don't really go hiking all that often, I've never felt the need to own hiking shoes. So we went to this special store in the city center where they very, very kindly did a bunch of things. They scanned my feet for determining my size and whether I have like narrow feet or wider feet, and the arch of my feet we couldn't really determine because I was literally just out of the cast, and I couldn't really do a bunch of the movements they would want me to do on the scanner in order to determine what kind of shoe would fit me best. They did help me out. I picked a pair of shoes. They are the most expensive shoes I have ever bought and the ugliest shoes I've ever bought. When I purchased my secondhand Manolos, they were cheaper than the hiking shoes that I bought yesterday. Actually, my husband bought them for me because I told him ugly shoes are his department. So yeah, then I went to work. All in all, I walked pretty okay, and I'm really hoping that I'm on a path to recovery. The little bulge that's on the side of my foot that appeared immediately after the accident, and I think is where that part of the bone has moved, that is there, and I have the feeling that it will stay there for the rest of my life, and I really hope it's not going to start causing trouble or causing me to have issues with wearing certain types of shoes, because that would be devastating. And by certain types of shoes I mean my heels, because I'm a heels type of girl. But anyway, let's take it one step at a time. Let's first go back to normal walking, possibly running and biking at some point, because I really, really miss my bike and I'm super out of shape. My left calf is like a mush. It's like no muscle has ever existed there. It is so bizarre. But for the rest, it's looking pretty okay. There's like a little bit of a hematoma left at the base of my toes, but that's it. The rest has dissipated. It's looking good. I hope it will recover, and I hope that my little misshapen foot will not cause me any issues later on in life. I'm not mentioning any of my base products because I'm basically using the same things that I've been using for like the past couple of videos. So now that we've gotten the mundane, boring things out of the way, let's talk about that Lisa Eldridge announcement. Were you ready for that? I was not ready for that. Okay, so there have been rumors, and I think she started the rumors herself, so it's not really rumors, but she has sort of like alluded to releasing her first eyeshadow palettes for a long time. And she also said that there would be new shades of the True Velvet coming. And if, in all honesty, to be transparent with you, knowing Lisa's style, I honestly thought that the palettes would probably be boring, and I'd be like, yeah, these are really nice for people who like their, you know, matte, natural type of looks with like the tiniest bit of like satin shimmer. But I didn't think that she would release anything remotely interesting to me when it comes to eyeshadow. So imagine my surprise when she announced the palettes, and they seem to be, you know, an array of different textures, including the like more multi-dimensional shimmer textures. And even more surprising when she announced the amount of palettes that are coming out, which is a total of 5. I really didn't expect that. And also such a like wide and varied array of colors. Obviously, the compact for these eyeshadow palettes looks absolutely incredible because it's Lisa Eldridge, and if there's anyone who knows how to do stunning vintage packaging of makeup, it's her. And of course, these did not disappoint. They look absolutely stunning. They are also like so beautifully like thought out. There are not too many shades, not too few shades. They're very compact, they're customizable. The color stories are very well thought out. The rambling shall continue, but let's do a little interlude here so that I can mention this cute little dude that I purchased from Koyudo. I've been eyeballing these ever since I made my first like Beautylish Sonia G order, in which I think I also included a Wingos brush and a Koyudo brush. And this is my second Koyodo brush, and I've been eyeing these little like kabukis, which look like I think these are supposed to look like a cat paw, like the shape of a cat paw, and they come in a variety of different colors, and I chose this one, which is like an orangey yellow color, because I think it just looks super cute on your vanity. And Koyodo makes really good brushes, so I thought, you know what, give this a try, because I've been looking for a really long time for a Japanese brush with which to apply my powder. And I've tried so many brushes from Sonia for this purpose, and nothing has really been what I wanted to be. And I think this is finally my Japanese handmade brush that I'm going to be using the crap out of to apply my powders. Or if you're into like mineral foundations, I think this will be really good for that too. And I wanted to mention just a little fun fact. So the handle obviously is like very short because it's like a kabuki type of brush, but it's like this beautiful like lacquered wood. And at first I thought that there was like a plastic protector that was left on the brush because of how shiny and like smooth it felt in the hand, only to realize that that's just the quality of the, you know, handle, and it's not an extra plastic protector. Anyway, so yesterday I already used this brush. I'm in love with all the 3 brushes that I bought, spoiler alert, but I just wanted to demo them for you as well. And I wanted to demo this brush together with the Gucci powder that I mentioned in my previous video, or one of my previous videos, I think it was my previous video, which is this one in the shade Natural. I tried the 2 yesterday together, and I felt like they actually worked really well, so I wanted to demo that for you as well. Now, this powder is white, and I think depending on how heavy-handed you are, it's going to either look a bit more translucent or it's going to really leave a white cast. Because I heard from one of you that you're very pale and this still leaves a white cast on you. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply the brush like this on the tips of my brush. And I'm going to first apply it on my skin like this, just tapping it on. And then the most beautiful part of this brush, or aside from the fact that it's very soft and it's like cat paws touching your face, is that you can start buffing, and as soon as you start buffing, you see that powder blurring your skin. It is just such a pleasant sensation, and I definitely feel that it has worked the powder into my skin. I'm going to apply a tiny bit more, just like a tiny little dusting here on my forehead, because my forehead is where I tend to sweat the most throughout the day, and I'm going to work it like this into the skin. And I feel like it doesn't really leave much of a white cast, or at least I cannot really tell that much has happened besides, you know, like a light dusting of powder and a little bit of blurring and, you know, smoothening of my skin. So I'm in love with this little dude from Koyodo. I think it is such a good brush and it's beautiful to look at. I enjoy looking at it on my vanity, and I am just going to be now constantly using this to apply my powder, so you are going to see this make quite a few appearances in my videos. And as I mentioned yesterday, I did wear the Gucci powder and I actually thought that it performed really well throughout the day, because I was up quite early to go to the doctor's office, so I applied my makeup around 8:30, and then I don't think I even like touched up or looked at my makeup until like 4ish in the afternoon, and I couldn't really detect any breaking up of my foundation. I just dabbed away a little bit of like extra oil that had started to peek through, and then that was it until the end of the day, which was around 11:30 in the evening. So I feel like the powder works really well. It's just a matter of maybe choosing the right color, and if you have this specific color, just don't go too heavy-handed. Now, before we move on to the next brush, which is a Sonia G brush, I'm going to apply my bronzer, and I'm going to kind of be revisiting the little Charlotte Tilbury face palette that I purchased, so I want to also use the bronzer, and I'm going to take this color to pair with the palette, because I feel like the palette fits better with like somewhat more warmer tones. And we can go back to shortly discussing the Lisa Eldridge release. So there are 5 eyeshadow palettes, and there are also quite a few True Velvet lip colors. Like I said, I was deeply impressed by the eyeshadow palettes, and I will be picking up 2 of them. I will be picking up, of course, Sorcery, which is the one with the green eyeshadows, and I am going to be picking up the Vega eyeshadow palette, which has the more smoky colors, because it looks absolutely delightful. I've been on such a kick with cool toned eyeshadow palettes this year, and I think this one might be one of the best that I have seen on the market. Now, I will say Lisa Eldridge has she is an incredible salesperson, you know. She always talks about her products in this magical, fantastical, you know, putting it in context in terms of like the vintage inspiration behind it way, that it makes you feel like it is the most unique and unseen product on the market. And then you get the product and sometimes you're like, well, I've seen things like this before, Lisa. But Lisa Eldridge is an incredible salesperson, so she's selling these palettes like they are, you know, the reinvention of the wheel. I am very curious whether the eyeshadow formulas are going to be luxurious and something a little different, or are they going to be, you know, just your regular metallic eyeshadows or your regular topper kind of eyeshadows, and what they're going to resemble the most in terms of textures. I think also the colors are really stunning. It's just she has also made it clear that she's not selling these palettes empty for you to customize yourself. You can customize the palettes once you get them, and she will be selling singles, so you can like move things around. But because she has like a vision of how each of these color stories should look like, she wants to offer them, at least for the time being, I think, as prepared, like pre-made color stories that she has designed for us. So it seems like it's important for her that we realize that she has thought very deeply about these color stories, and that's also reflected, I feel like, in the combinations of the colors and textures in each of these color stories, and I hope that that will become even more apparent once we test them. Okay, now I'm going to shut up and I'm going to talk about the other brush, the second brush that I purchased, which is part of the Lotus set from Sonia G. So the Lotus set is these gorgeous brushes that come in this ombre like white to pink purple handle packaging and the beautiful like metallic purple ferrule. These were released as a set, the Lotus set, maybe like 1.5 years ago, quite some time ago, and I didn't want to purchase the set because I knew there would be brushes in there that I would never use. And then finally she released these as singles, and I still took my sweet time to decide which brushes I wanted. And this is her detail brush. So this is a face brush. It is slightly slanted, it is quite pinched, but at the same time once you wash it, it fluffs out and like it blooms really nicely. And I kind of started feeling like I'm missing a brush like this in my collection, something that is a little bit smaller to apply blush with, but still very like convenient to blend it out. I'm sure I have similar things, but this brush was just calling to me. And yesterday I used it, and it is indeed the most perfect blush to apply your blush with. I really like it for that. I think it will be perfect for like bronzer as well and for highlighter, but because I already have my favorite for bronzer from her, which is the Hinoki brush, I kind of always default to that. And for my highlighter, I like to switch it up, and yeah, I just didn't use this for highlighter yesterday. We could try it today for that as well. But I'm going to also be revisiting the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk palette. I'm going to mix these two shades together, because I've actually only used this palette once for the demo that I did for you, and I remained pretty lukewarm about it after that. So let's try to use it again today. Lukewarm mainly because of the colors, not because of the formula. So let's try this again today. Yeah, these two shades, the two like peachy shades, are perfect. They are really nice and really my kind of shades when it comes to blush. And can you see how this brush is working product onto the skin? It is gorgeous. It has the most perfect like slant to it, and then the brush is just kind of working on the surface of your skin to buff that powder product. It is incredible. I cannot tell you how in love I am with this brush. I kind of lay the product down like this first, and then I blend it out, because the otherwise the danger with a brush like this is that if you go like this, which I have also done in the past by the way, if you go just like this and you don't just stipple it on like this first, you are going to end up with like a spot on your skin which has a lot of pigment, and then you're going to have to work to blend that pigment out. And I feel like this is a little bit faster. I am in love with this brush. It is incredible. Alright, I'm going to clean it off just a little bit here on my little microfiber cloth, and I'm also going to use it to apply, to apply the highlighter in this palette. I think this is maybe a little bit too big for me to apply highlighter, but let's give it a try, shall we? I'm going to maybe just turn it around like this, and again do a bit of stippling first. Okay, I don't think this is going to be a brush that I apply highlighter with. It's just a little bit too big for my face to apply highlighter. So if you will excuse me, I will switch to my highlighter brush, which is just this good old little dude from Zoeva. I think that will work better. And to go back to the Lisa Eldridge eyeshadow palettes, I also feel like there is a really good offering in terms of like more interesting and unique color stories and stuff that is a little bit more colorful and more, you know, loud in terms of the colors and the textures. And there are definitely a couple of palettes that are your, you know, good old basic bitch like rosy and warm toned orangey offerings. So if you want something that is Lisa Eldridge formula but is a little bit more basic in terms of the color stories, she has at least two of those, I think. Muse and Cinnabar. I want to say Muse and Cinnabar, and there's another one as well that looks a little bit more basic. But especially that Sorcery palette, the one with the green eyeshadows, is honestly not something that I expected Lisa Eldridge to release of all people. So I am very pleasantly surprised by the eyeshadow palette offerings, and like I said, for now I'll be picking up two. I'm going to quickly spritz my sponge here with a little bit of Fix Plus and just dab here over top of the powders, just for them to melt even further into the skin. Overall, I'm pretty happy with how my blush and highlighter are looking, but again, I just don't find the colors in this palette to be really special. So if you are going out of your way to purchase this Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk palette, then purchase it for the formulas in there and do not purchase it for the colors. And keep in mind that a lot of the colors that you can use as blushes in there are very similar to each other. So for today's eyeshadow look, I'm sort of feeling like dipping back into my soft cashmere eyeshadow quint over here, and we're going to do something super like boring and standard. I'm just going to use this shade, I think this shade and this shade, and then in my inner corners I'm going to put a little pop of purple, of course. But before we do that, let me tell you about the third and last brush that I picked up from my recent purchase, and that is this little guy from Sonia G, also part of her Lotus collection. This is the Soft Definer brush, and again, I'm in love with this brush. It is a very like narrow, sort of like pointed detail kind of brush. And for comparison, because I have a couple of those like detailed brushes from Sonia, I wanted to show you. Let me see. So I use these types of brushes for three things: inner corners, lower lash line and blending out, as well as like work here into my outer corner and the base of my lashes. And for that purpose I have three brushes from Sonia. I now have this one. I previously had this one as well, which is her pencil one, which by comparison you can see a lot shorter, a lot stubbier and much more dense. This is dense but still has a little bit more give to it. And I also have this, which is part of her Keiyaki set, which is the flat definer. The flat definer is one of my favorite brushes. The flat definer is one of my favorite brushes to apply your inner corners with, and I do also like it to apply color here on the lower lash line, especially if it has to be more concentrated and like closer to the lashes. But I think in terms of applying the color and blending it out and just getting it to those like crannies here underneath especially easily, this one from the Lotus set may be my favorite out of the three. It works really well for inner corner too. This brush I've also fallen in love with. I don't know how Sonia does it, but every time I'm like, yeah, but this brush, is it really that special? Yes, it's that special. Okay, so I'm going to use this brush now to take this shade and apply that close to my lashes and in a little bit of like a winged out shape, just to add a little bit of definition into the lashes and outer corner area before we proceed with the rest. And look at the ease with which this color is laid down and then blended out. The brush is very soft and it just does amazing work for you. I just really love it. Like the pencil one brush is very good at laying down color, but you can't really do a lot of blending with it. You have to resort to something a little smaller, like this brush for example, which was originally what I had for like small blends and my lower lash line blends, but I think the one from Sonia is probably going to now take over as my favorite. What are you picking up? The palettes are a little bit obviously on the steep price because it's Lisa Eldridge. The quality will be there in terms of everything, so everything will be a little bit more luxury priced, but that is also something that I expected. Did I expect these to be almost 60 euros a piece, which they are? I think they're 59 euros a piece. I was kind of hoping they would be priced somewhere between 45 and 55 euros. So they're a little bit more expensive than I thought, but then again you're getting 6 eyeshadows and you're getting them in that decadent looking packaging and with hopefully extremely luxurious formulas. So yeah, I'm really curious about this. I'm going to pick up 2 and her European warehouse is located in the Netherlands, so I think I'm going to get my order really quickly. Now when it comes to the lipsticks, I am picking up 2. As soon as she showed that Duchess color, the like deeper red that seems like the deeper version of Ribbon, I was like, I take my money right now. Just get into my wallet, swipe and take my money because I need that color. Ribbon, as you know, is one of my favorite lipsticks of all time. It's probably my favorite red, if I'm being completely honest with you. I don't want to offend my other red, so close your ears, my babies. I think Ribbon might be my favorite red of all time. So if Duchess is anything like Ribbon, it's just going to be the deeper, more sultry version of my favorite lipstick. And I'm really excited for that. I'm just going to take my little Worker Pro, which is also from Sonia G, and I'm going to apply this taupe gray brown shade, just all over my lid and blend it upwards in the crease, sort of as like my base color and transition color. Finally, I'm also going to purchase the Sorcery lipstick that goes with the Sorcery palette. I am a little bit more unsure how that one's going to work out, because if I'm being completely honest with you, when it comes to like the more nudie neutral colors, Lisa's website is not very reliable, in my personal opinion, in how the lipsticks are really going to look in real life. So it's going to be a surprise. It seems like an interesting color. My only concern is how cool toned, like how mauve cool toned it's going to lean, because in the photos on the website it looks like a beautiful grungy color that's not too cool toned and not too warm toned, but the way it is described sounds like it will be pretty cool toned. So I am quite curious to see how that's going to look like in real life, and I hope I'm going to enjoy it. She will be releasing everything at 5 p.m. local time, like local in the Netherlands time, and I will probably still be at work. So I don't know whether I need to hurry. I don't know how fast these things are going to sell out, so I really hope they're not going to sell out super fast. I'm going to take a little bit of my glitter glue now because I want to apply the metallic shade over top of that. So all in all, I'm very pleasantly surprised by this release, and I am very much looking forward to it. I knew I would be looking forward to it just because of the lipsticks, but I did not think that I would be that into the eyeshadow palettes, and I really hope that they are every bit as good as they look in the pictures and in the swatches from Lisa Eldridge. So you're going to see those demoed as soon as they arrive. And now I am going to go back into the Dior Quintet, and I'm going to pick up this shade here, which is this gorgeous like more metallic taupe, and I'm going to pop that right here on the lid. So now I'm going to go back into this quint, and I'm going to take this shade here, which is like the topper with sparkles, which are very, very fine. And because I want it to appear a bit more wet, I'm going to spritz my brush here with a bit of Fix Plus and just pop that here in the center of the lids, just for some extra sparkle. This is not an astral from Pat McGrath, so don't, you know, expect to be wowed by the amount of sparkle, but it's just going to add a little bit of extra dimension to the look. And as a last finishing touch to this look, I'm going to grab my Celestial Nirvana here from Pat McGrath and my little new favorite brush from Sonia G, and I'm going to take the purple, of course, to match with my sweater. And I'm going to apply this metallic purple shade here in the inner corners to really complete this look. Actually, we have not quite completed this look. I will show you in a little bit what we're going to do on the lower lashes. And finally, to no one's surprise, really no one's surprise, I'm going to take this purple shade to apply on my lower lashes, just so we have this like neutral cool toned kind of look with a touch of purple to it to, of course, match my sweater. But also, can we please appreciate how this brush just fits right underneath here, and it gives immediately the perfect blend. And because it is so tiny, it doesn't blend your eyeshadow too far down. That's always my fear when I'm blending eyeshadow with brushes that are too large, that the blend is just going to go down too much, and that's not what I'm going for. So this brush is kind of amazing. It just has that pointy tip, which makes sure that you have precise application here, but it also has that tiny bit of fluffiness without being too fluffy and like too splayed, to really buff the product out. I'm in love with this brush as well. There is no better way to close out the Lisa Eldridge ramblings than applying a Lisa Eldridge lipstick. So as some of you have probably already guessed, I'm wearing Decade from her True Velvet line, which is one of my favorite like vampy brown lipsticks for this time of the year. I think it completes the look perfectly. I'm completely in love with all the new 3 brushes that I picked up. Are they expensive? Yes. Are they also worth every penny to me? They are, because they just do the job, and they do it effortlessly, they do it perfectly, and they do it better than a lot of my other brushes. So all in all, I'm really happy with my purchase. I cannot wait to make another one this evening. I hope that I don't have to fight all of you to get those Lisa Eldridge goodies. I hope she has made enough stock and things are not going to sell out within a few minutes, because I personally find shopping like that very stressful and I'm not a huge fan. So yeah, all in all, I am very curious to hear your thoughts. What did you pick up? Because I think by the time that this video goes live, a lot of you will have already made your purchases. So do let me know what you picked up. Do let me know what you thought about this look, about the brushes that I used. Are you familiar with them? Are they your favorites? What do you think about them? As usual, thank you so so much for watching. I need to head off to work and I will see you in my next video. Bye!